First Aid Kit.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'll be your Emmylou and I'll be your June. You'll be my Graham and my Johnny too.
We had a little location mix-up. Just feel like I should set the scene for everyone listening. We made you go all the way uptown in Manhattan. Now you're back to Midtown, and here we are, all hanging out in our little closet.
In our archive library.
Yeah. Would you guys introduce yourselves so that listeners can hear whose voice is whose?
Sure.
That will be challenging.
It will be. We
I know. Well,
sound
we're going
very
to set out the
similar,
challenge.
but,
They can accept it or not.
I'm Klara.
I'm Johanna. And
Okay.
we're sisters.
Surprise.
So our
Hence the
voices
similar
are,
voices.
Yeah.
How often these days do you get to reveal that to people who did not know that you were sisters?
It happens.
Yeah,
'Cause we don't,
surprisingly
some people
often.
don't think that we look alike at all.
Yeah.
Do you think you look alike?
Yeah.
In
the
some
eyes.
ways, yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah. Kind of.
But it's not super obvious.
No.
Right.
No.
And Johanna, you're 2 years older?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Sort of.
What
What
does that
years
mean?
and 4
Well,
months.
3 years technically,
Okay.
but
Yes.
yeah.
And does it feel that way that you're the older sister?
Wait. I want to get to the bottom of
Wait.
this.
It's not
It's
3
just
years
Well, I was
technically.
born 1990, and you were born 93. So
Yeah.
it's 3 years, but it's like 2 years and like 2 months or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was really important when we were kids. Like,
Yeah. Very important.
to make that distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is important to kids.
Yeah.
I have to point out, because I my father gave me this T-shirt, this Birds
It's
T-shirt.
amazing.
And he's a fan of yours, and I promised that I would wear this on the show because he's obsessed with Graham Parsons and Emmylou
So are we,
Harris.
yes.
Right. So I just wanted to bring that full
Can
circle.
we have that?
I'll ask him to order you some.
Yes.
So
From whatever
beautiful.
weird online band T-shirts or my
Yeah.
dad
Birds
discovers.
T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so I guess where do we start? Where should we dive right in with these two? Do you want to take the first crack at them, or shall I?
Well, you've reunited after a little period apart. A long period apart.
Not really.
No.
Like a few months.
We
but
were
yeah.
like, we weren't ever, like, we didn't, like, split up.
You didn't? No.
No,
People have
not
like
at all.
in articles been like they went on a divorce.
They got a divorce, and it's like, no.
No,
Yeah,
just
I
like
read
maybe
that.
didn't see each
We-
other for like 3 months.
We didn't see
but-
each other, but we talked all the time, and, like, yeah.
But you didn't live in London, and you were in
Yeah,
Manchester.
I lived in Manchester for 2 years, but I'd already moved, like a year and a
While
half
we were on
before
tour.
we... So, yeah, it wasn't like I moved and I was like, now I'm going to... Like, I had done that already way back.
okay.
Yeah, so...
I'm glad we're setting
Me
this
too.
record.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's just funny.
It's fun to make
yeah.
it dramatic. People love a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought you guys like had not spoken for months. There was some falling out.
No.
Not good. I'm glad to hear that.
Not really. I mean, we're sisters, so there are...
Well, that can mean a lot of different things.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially in a working relationship.
Yeah, and we're under, a lot of pressure, and
Yeah.
you're exhausted, and yeah, it's easy to take it out on the person that you know the best. Yeah.
Do those fights, are they usually personal, or do they spill into the creative?
Both.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's
But
never
more
really
personal.
about, like, when we work on stuff creatively, we don't argue ever. I think.
No, we do.
We do?
Occasion- Yeah, you're very picky with words. And,
Oh,
like, I want to change lyrics, and it's not true.
Okay, but not that much.
No. No.
Like,
It's
you want to
usually-
change them and you say no?
Yeah.
Well, what's the creative...
Right?
Like, how does it work? Does one of you write primarily? Do you both try to write together different songs? How does it work?
It works. It's different for each song, but what usually tends to happen is I start writing a song, and then I'm very scatterbrained, so like I'll write stuff and then I'll just leave it, and I'll just get lazy and I'll just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, and then I play it for Johanna, and then we start working on stuff together from there.
And similarly, you'll write lyrics and sort of sit with it, share it?
Not really. No.
Okay.
It only goes the one way.
Well, no, but you do write lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not like
I don't have a huge collection of lyrics lying
No.
around like you.
So
It's
do you-
more of in the moment when we're working together. Yeah.
So is there a feeling of nervousness when you share something that you, like, Johanna, will you become
Yeah.
critical? And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's Yeah, maybe nervous, but I feel like I know when something's good. Like it's more sometimes when I'm unsure if something's good and I'm just kind of like, oh, here it is, and then Johanna will go, oh, I love this, which is really cool. But if it's something that I really believe in, even if Johanna's reaction isn't like immediately like, oh my god, I love it, if it's like, yeah, it's okay, and I go, it's good, I know it's good, and you've always come around, I think.
Yeah.
But a lot of the times, I mean, it's, sometimes it's annoying.
I feel like it's more like you don't think it's that good, and you
Yeah.
think it's great.
Yeah. And a lot of the times it's, I'll have like little ideas and I'll go like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. And Johanna goes, oh, but we can use that part that you came up with. We can put that with this. And I'll go like, no, we cannot do that. That would sound so bad. And then I try it and I'm like, oh, damn it. You're right. Again. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, let's, I guess, then set the record straight. So, because the story that we've kind of been living with this new album is that you had been on tour for 7 years pretty much straight. Record. You had made four records.
Well, this is our fourth.
This is your fourth. So, three
Yeah.
consistently since the time you were 14, you were 16, Johanna. And so that's just a lot. You basically left high school, never went to high school.
Yes.
That's all correct.
Yes, you got it right.
Yeah.
Fact checking.
Right. And then after 7 years, you say to yourselves and each other, like, this is too much. Let's take a break in a sense.
Yes.
Like, even if it wasn't a break from each other, just like a break from working so hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
that is real.
That is correct. Yes.
That happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And was the idea of exploring life as a non-working musician part of that? Like, I'm imagining at 14 and 16 and then not going to high school, like, where does the like boy crush and the crushes and the adolescent, feelings and
Yeah.
time to just be
You
sulky
can't
in
have
your
that
bed.
on the road?
I don't
Not
know.
really.
Can you?
No.
I mean, it's
long
different.
distance
There's been boys, but it's always been long distance, and it's not like
the
the
everyday
traditional
kind of relationship
No.
that you want.
Right. No.
So
for
were you
sure.
craving that specifically, that kind of normalcy?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like doing everyday chores, like doing the dishes, and like I love that.
Yeah, it just
It's very romantic to me. The idea of a home.
it's also
and all
just
that.
absolutely,
Because I can't have it.
and about identity and like who am I without this band? What do I? I mean.
Well, it's
Yeah,
dangerous
who
when
is
like you
that?
feel like you're appreciated only for like who you are in the band,
Yeah.
and not really as a person.
Yeah.
And
But also, like, it was really interesting. I was listening to a podcast, actually.
podcast.
It was I think it was Mark Maron's podcast with Neil Patrick Harris. And, and it was just so funny because I saw, like, all these parallels to, like, our lives, which is not something that I was expecting, like, listening to that podcast. But he was talking about, like, how
Doogie Howser.
Yeah, exactly. He started out and as a teenager that he couldn't like try out like different identities, or like today I'm just gonna be really rude to everyone, or like I'm just gonna like get wasted at a party and just behave really like obnoxiously and no one's gonna care, or like but
Right.
for us growing up, like I remember like because we started so young that like going to like a friend's party and just someone coming up to me when I was 14, 15 and being like, oh, you're in that band, and already then like feeling this like responsibility to like I was what do you say, like
A role model, or
like I am
just
this
self-aware.
band, and
Yeah.
and I have to like behave, and
But we wanted to like grow up really fast.
Yeah, for
we
sure.
wanted to be like adults when
Yeah.
we were. That was like a big deal for us. Like in our music, like writing these stories about like housewives and older couples, and I think also being a woman and being in this genre that is so male oriented, like Townes Van Sant and Graham Parsons, like it was very like fragile territory for like to be two young girls entering that.
you don't step on that
No,
in
like, you
that
don't-
world. That's
no.
like you don't
So for
belong
us, it was
here.
like we had to like prove ourselves, and in that way be very grown up and
Yeah.
like mature and
yeah
show how serious we were all the time.
exactly.
Can I ask where you would perceive that feeling of you can't do that?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it just came from within. Like, well,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Or
It's-
like male
and also-
journalists' like
oh,
attitude towards us. You know, their questions.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And also just as a woman, like just wanting to like be a good girl, basically. You know, like that. Just feeling that pressure. And I think I think as a male musician, you get away with so much like that. I would we'd never dream of doing.
Yeah.
Do you want to do those
No,
things?
no, I wouldn't. But just the fact that I know that I'd be judged so much harsher,
Right.
is just it's unfair.
Right. Well, it's regardless of what the behavior would be, it's the like putting yourself in someone else's shoes and imagining how they're going to judge you and see you instead of just doing whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Whether it's like drinking a lot or not drinking a lot, it's that men are not questioning whether or not they can do that. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you want to do that, Clara?
No.
I feel like we didn't want to do that.
No, I didn't. I
No.
didn't. But
We were like
but
the opposite.
I don't know.
We were like,
I
we're
just
going to be so
don't know.
clean and healthy.
Yeah, but
and-
I just don't know what I mean, of course I can't, but just like I don't know what it would have been like if I hadn't had that
Right.
part.
Right, it wasn't
if I
even
was
an option.
yeah,
almost.
because we were working so hard.
We were
all
on the road
time.
with our dad
Yeah.
as well.
So it was just
keeping an eye on
yeah, that was our life, and
Watching out
that was
for us.
what we wanted to do,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course. But yeah, it's just like it was funny, just like hearing about Neil Patrick Harris
Right.
stories, and just being like,
Yeah.
oh man, I never really like thought about that.
Yeah.
That was actually going on for us as well.
Totally.
Yeah.
So when you did take that time out and you tried to understand who you were outside of the band, what did you discover?
Oh, that's
Were there any
such a-
surprises?
Well, that we were okay.
Yeah.
Without
Yeah.
it, that we
Okay.
still had.
Yeah, I feel like if
lives.
the band stopped today, like it would be like if it all ended, it would be fine. Like I'd do great. You know, I think that was a relief to feel like you're loved, like by friends and
Yeah.
family in a different way than
Yeah.
just like always talking about First Aid Kit and building your whole life around that. Because it
Yeah.
is like it's so time consuming. It takes like it is our lives
Right.
in a way, but to just know that it wouldn't be a catastrophe. It's really reassuring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did you have that where you weren't really on the road and working at a new project?
It was sort of split up because we did things as we like to do. Like we did some projects here and there and some shows, like small side things. But probably like almost a year at home, I would say, in total
Yeah, but we were we were still sort of working
on things.
and writing, but it wasn't. We didn't have a deadline where it was like, okay, and then we're gonna go on tour and
Yeah.
Wow, but it's interesting, like a year at home not being on tour, but yet still working and writing. Like that's not a break in the way that
No,
that
not a total break,
it was.
but we
kinda
had
portrayed.
6 months off that were just completely off.
Right.
But
We didn't,
I
we didn't
wrote,
have
though.
to listen to music or write songs or anything creative.
but I still did because
Who
I
wouldn't?
just do
Right.
'cause
Six
it's fine.
six months without music.
Yeah.
Well, is that when you put out "You're the Problem" here?
No,
Okay.
no. So this was earlier. So we took the break. In the last show that we played was a festival in Sweden in 2015, the summer, of August 2015.
Yeah.
And then we didn't. Then we met up in LA in April 2016 to write the record. So we had that time.
Okay. But that
yeah.
particular song was never
Yes.
going to be on the record.
No.
No.
Okay. Were you able to channel some kind of anger in that song that wouldn't have a place on a First Aid Kit album?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it would have, but it just because
Maybe our next record will be that angry. The whole
Yeah.
10 angry
Amazing,
songs.
yeah.
you know.
just because the subject matter of the record was so personal, and it's a breakup record,
Yeah.
and we didn't want to like have a song like that be in there because it would be kind of confusing
You'd
because it
think
would
that
seem
the
that
rape was involved in the relationship. I mean, it would be
yeah
like,
that song had something to do with that relationship, which it didn't at all. That was
Right.
just a completely separate thing. So yeah,
For
that
those
was
who
why.
aren't
Right.
familiar with the
Yes.
song, can you just explain real quick?
Sure.
What
Well,
inspired it?
yeah.
You were the
Well, it
problem
was.
here.
It was written because we'd been reading a lot about this rape case at Stanford University. This guy Brock Turner. He got. I mean, I hate that I know his name, but That's the way it goes.
It's funny because in the press that I've read about this song, they never mention what rape inspired the song.
We didn't want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't want to like spread his name. You know, like,
Yeah,
that's not what
that
it's
was kind
about.
of but that was what inspired it. Yeah, just reading about that because he got 6 months in prison, but he got out of 3. Yeah, and I mean it was just, but the thing that was so frustrating and moving and everything about it was like there were 3 letters that were written that were just like so interesting and horrific. Like one was from the victim's point of view, and it was just like heartbreaking. Reading about this woman and how this had affected her, how she had been treated, and then he wrote a letter, Brock, where he basically, I mean, it was just so ridiculous to read it and just be like, wow, you have no concern for this other human being's life.
Right.
You are just concerned with like
Yourself.
yourself and blaming like youth culture and alcohol.
Well, his father wrote
and,
one too.
And then his dad wrote a letter too, which were the famous 20 minutes of action, which he described this horrible thing that his son had done. And
You guys
like
were just
his
like,
life should be
bullshit.
I just read all of that, and I was just like so angry, and the song just came.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this stuff normally on your guys' radar? And by stuff, I mean, I guess, like, what's big in American news and politics and women's issues and...
Yeah.
We do read, like, American blogs and things like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it was a big thing in Sweden, like...
No,
in particular.
But I remember it being really big. Yeah, and because we read like Jezebel, and it was on BuzzFeed. And I listened to like more podcasts, like American politics podcasts as well. So yeah, definitely. But
Well, something... Go ahead. Sorry. Well, I was just going to say I've just kind of recently picked up on this side of you guys, which I think is this awesome addition to the concept of you guys as these people who make this beautiful kind of Americana folk music that feels very steeped in a certain genre and history in American music, but doesn't normally carry a very political or feminist bent to it. And you guys are starting to make music and to speak about these things. And I think that's an awesome collision of those two that like should go hand in hand. And it's something that you're creating that is very new. In your own, you know. I mean, I saw you guys told Lenny Letter recently that you want to crush the patriarchy, and I was like, yes, lady.
Well, like so many interviews, they end like, "Oh, do you have anything to add?" So I always add that. Like, hello.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, for us,
You know,
it's funny because it's something that's like so
obvious.
Because we grew up. I mean, our mom is like a super badass feminist, and so that's something that we've always talked about.
We've always had the perspective on anything that we see or read, like, you know,
Uh-huh.
the feminist perspective. So it's not shocking or like it's so obvious to us.
Yeah, but I think
Right.
the
the rest of the
up
world
in,
is like catching. I feel like that now.
Well,
but I think I'm learning as well.
Oh yeah,
more and
you
more all
never
the time,
fully
like,
learn, like finish, but you
like
know.
I just see all the patterns more clearly all the
Yeah.
time, and it's really hard. It's really frustrating.
Well, once you
like,
see them, you can't unsee them.
It's very true.
So,
but I mean, you know, You're the Problem Here. It sounds like it could be the anthem for me too. But it came out months and months and months before that. you know?
but
It
I
was
feel
in the
like
air.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that wasn't. I mean, and it's just it's so strange that we're talking about it now and that we haven't talked about it. Like, it's just like that's sort of a part of it too. It's just like, oh, now people care,
Right.
Oh, we're
Totally.
actually now people are listening to women.
I know.
Oh, interesting.
And I read that you said somewhere, like, why aren't the men talking about it? Like, we have to come to interviews and every time talk about this.
Always.
You know, it's a double-edged sword. Like, we need to do it, so it's a good thing, but it's also like unfortunate that we need to do it.
Yeah.
But men aren't doing it.
No.
And I'm wondering if you feel like we, the press, media, like, is there something that we're missing or that we're doing, you know, not enough of, or like, is the way that it's being handled, you know, sufficient to you?
No.
It's not. No, it
No,
isn't.
not at all.
Like in these interviews, of course we need to talk about these things.
Yeah.
And you're not, you know, upset by that because that's what we have to do.
No, I don't think it's anything like. Of course, I don't mind talking about it, but we are not the problem. I mean, that's
totally.
the thing. It's,
Right. Yeah.
And we're calling these things like women's issues, but it's men who have the issue because the men are the people that are raping women,
Right.
And
They're not starting podcasts about that.
Right. No,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I haven't
so-
seen it yet, at least.
Yeah.
but-
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of men who are doing great things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not enough.
Well, it's
obviously.
like the letter that over 2,000 Swedish female musicians signed. I believe it's female musicians, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not just, and that's an interesting thing. Like, why aren't these letters in support of the movement?
Well, I can tell you about that specifically. There was a Facebook group, and it was just for women, and because people didn't feel safe having men be invited into it.
Well, the Swedish music industry is so small. Like, everyone knows each other.
So we just like had to like keep it like
Really contained.
Yeah. And it was so like crazy to have that. Like it was this beautiful thing, and it was also like just
Horrifying.
so I mean, yeah, but it was finally so many like it was crazy. So many people who were writing on there who were just like, I've never talked about this before in my life.
Within the Swedish industry, not just globally, their experience as a musician touring internationally or whatever. Was it specifically contained
to the Swedish
experience?
Yes, and it was like, this is what's been done to me, and there were so many women who were just their stories like. Just reading all of them, but then like seeing their response and just like all of us just like coming together and just be like, we're here for you, we're listening, we love you, we have your back, and just feeling that was so incredible too. But yeah.
Right.
Can I ask, you guys are basically the head of a big business at this point, the business of the band. Are there things that you implement within that business that help to achieve the goal of crushing the patriarchy, like in terms of who you hire, who you work with?
I wish we did better. I feel like,
Yeah.
I wish we have like,
Still working on it.
we're like 4 women on
Yes.
the tour, including us.
And then what, like
8 men?
8 men, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I mean, it's hard. But I think that we do have a good, like, I don't know, working environment.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we really speak out about stuff. And
And you
the
feel
dudes
heard.
that we're working with are they don't have that kind of macho attitude or anything.
yeah,
and
we've definitely had that in the
We've had
past,
that.
like
yeah.
where we were just like, oh, this is
Not gonna work.
no, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just so like poisonous. The macho, like that environment is just like soul crushing. Like I
Yeah.
really think I feel really bad for men for having to like be in
Toxic
that.
masculinity.
Yeah, it's
bear
just-
that within
oh
them.
God, yeah.
I wonder what it was like when you were 14, 15, 16 and being like young women in the industry. Like to earn the respect
wants to
just
listen to
in
young
general.
women.
Yeah, like young women. I mean, you're like literally, new at this and female.
Yeah.
It's like must have been doubly.
I think we were sort of naive and sort of ignoring
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah,
of it.
I wonder
Yeah.
if the awareness is just so new, and now you could probably look back and say, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
But at least having each other also
Right.
to listen
Yeah,
to.
I think that made a huge
absolutely.
difference. Like,
Yeah.
and us touring with our dad, like,
Right.
being sisters in a family, we
Yeah.
were very strong and protected in that
Yeah.
sense. Like,
Yes.
it's way worse if you're a solo
we've
artist.
really thought about that, especially after being in that Facebook group and seeing all these women hearing their stories and just being like, wow, that could have really been me, but we were always together, and we were safe because of that. But yeah,
That's awesome.
Does it feel like a small community? You mentioned how Sweden has just like everyone knows each other. Does that feel like a supportive environment? Is there the opportunity to feel that?
now,
Yeah, now it is.
Yeah.
Now that we have this Facebook group.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because-
But in general, I mean, I feel like when we started, there were a lot of like female artists, older, who helped us.
yeah,
who helped us
absolutely,
out.
yeah, for sure,
Like Karen Dre from The Knife and Fever Ray, she signed us on her label.
yeah.
Like we got another offer, but it was like a really terrible deal. It was this like 360. Like they would take money from like all our merch sales and
Touring
and
all of
manage
it.
us everything. And we had this meeting, and they were like talking about how they were gonna make us sexy, and we were like, I mean,
14 and
14
16,
yeah, it was really awkward. And
Yeah.
she just came in, like, basically ripped the contract. It was
Yeah,
like,
it was like,
I'll sign
no,
you on my
no.
label. You know, you can do whatever you want. Just
Yeah.
feel free to do that. And
Yeah.
so that was a great way to start.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of Swedish musicians, who are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there was an Atlantic article by Nolan Feeney, Why is Sweden so good at pop music? And it basically lays out the reasons, like the actual reasons why.
What are
this
they?
is it fosters well, it's because no other small country has the right combination of language skills, so English language, cultural values where musicians are upheld and celebrated and given the support, actual financial support through public policy, where the Swedish Arts Council gives out millions of dollars to regional acts, national, international concert venues, everything. And then, you know, when you have all this talent in this small place, it's going to feed off each other.
Yeah.
And so it literally, there's a reason why Sweden is this hotbed. And so I wonder if you've experienced it that way, and if touring and experiencing the world elsewhere you've felt the difference of a place that's supportive versus, you know, you've been on now many labels, several labels, and, you know, if you've just found that there's a more supportive environment there than kind of elsewhere.
Well, we got like money also from the Swedish,
grant,
like
yeah.
a grant, to
It's
make
amazing.
our first record and our EP. And I don't think we could have made it otherwise,
No.
like because we were like all worked like. Dad quit his job
Yeah.
to go on tour with us, and so we were all on my mom's salary, and
Yeah.
she's like a film teacher. I mean, she, you know,
And
She works for
quit
an
high
independent art house cinema.
yeah. So you
know,
can guess
it's
that's not a
like-
lot of money. in there. Like,
Yeah.
And I mean, the ideology behind like music and art is important enough where you can
As
leave high
Americans,
school.
like, very hard to fathom.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Giving a
government supporting it, like
Yeah.
that's just such a way to foster the arts that
Yeah.
that's foreign to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think it was shocking to us just touring, like how you were treated when you start out as a band, like because in Sweden I still feel like if you have a show they take care of you, like when you
Yeah.
come to the venue they treat
Yeah.
you well, even if you're not a huge star. But in like the UK when you start off, it's like you're treated like shit. I mean, you're nothing. Like it's just it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like if you're lucky you might get a beer, like as like
Yeah,
as a fee.
I
Like-
remember that because we
Yeah.
were playing, and I think I was like 15, and we got like there were only beers in our dressing room, and I was like, I can't drink. Like, why are you giving me beer? I want water. Can I have a bottle of water?
What's the
Yeah,
drinking
yeah.
age in Sweden?
18.
18, yeah.
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 So how does it feel to be back on tour? Were you ready?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
so.
but-
I mean, we're never really ready because it's so exhausting.
It's-
Like I always forget.
I forget
like,
how much work it is.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Like no matter how much energy and rest you store up
Yeah.
beforehand.
You're traveling all the time, so
Yeah.
physically
Okay.
you're just never like
Yeah.
you're never really like I don't know. It's not the same as being at home and having like a regular job. You just can't compare.
Yeah.
No. And just
but-
the fact that like you can't go home at the end of the night or
do
have a
anything
weekend
for that.
off and just it's hard. It is really hard.
Yeah.
But it's also really, really, really fun.
And we were
Very good.
worried
So
because we've been gone for like it's 4 years in between records.
Yeah.
So we were like, people have forgotten about us.
Yeah, they're not gonna
They've
come to
moved
the
on.
shows.
Doesn't seem to be
But
the case.
no, we're like we don't take it for granted.
No.
Like really don't.
No, but this whole tour sold out.
Amazing.
And
All our
yeah,
shows in this year
it's
so far.
crazy. Yeah, so
Incredible.
Yeah.
You right out of the gate had so many opportunities to play for and with so many of your heroes, which is amazing.
yes.
Do you have your sights set on like some new goal or some new artist or something that for the future that would be exciting?
I mean, it's just like those opportunities that we've had to play for people or play with people have been so like it's not ever something that we like
Planned.
You don't plan to like
Or-
make Paul Simon cry.
No,
No,
you don't even
that was
drink
Emmy
that.
Lou.
Emmy Lou.
Paul
okay.
gave him the standing up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not even in your like. You can,
No,
it's
of course not. You know, it's just insane.
Yeah.
We're
So-
open to those moments. Like, if
Yeah.
they, if they
Yeah.
happen, yeah.
Like, was it true that like you played a festival and Fleet Foxes were there and he like saw you? Robin
That was
saw you?
horrible, though.
Why was that horrible?
Oh no, but that wasn't. Well, he saw the YouTube video that we
Right.
did.
Yeah.
But then you got on stage with him and sang.
and it was like the wrong key, and we were. I mean, that was like.
I mean, for us, like we hadn't practiced that. Like we knew the song, but we had to change the key because it's a really like tricky song. And then we he invited us up there, and we were like, okay, great. And then we start singing, and it's just like, okay, it's either too high or too low. Like I can't physically sing the song.
And there was no
just being
rehearsal or
up there.
anything?
No. He was like, you want to come up? And we were like, yeah, of course we do. But then,
it was really awkward.
yeah, but
Then we met up last year in Stockholm.
we got to do
and
it again,
sang
and
the
then
same
we
song
rehearsed like a lot,
like crazy. So we got our revenge.
Yeah.
10 years
That's
later.
awesome.
yeah.
I mean, you guys are pretty much at the point now where someone is going to cover your song and then perform it for you. Like that's not that there aren't still many idols for you guys to cover, but I feel like it's going to come back around.
Yeah.
Last question, because I know you guys have a show tonight. But I read something. Someone wrote this really cute op-ed in the Times this weekend. Did you see this, Dee? It was this guy who was trying to figure out why he loves the song Born to Run and his brother doesn't. Neither of them were even alive when that song came out. And so he dug into some Spotify data, and he figured out that if you look back at a lot of songs, the demographic of people who listened the most to those were between like the ages of 12 and 14 when the song came out, which made me think of you guys in a way, because I'm curious to know when this music entered your life, and if this pattern holds for you. These are also influences that were not in their prime when you were kids. So how did this music come to you?
Well, I was 12.
Surprise.
Yeah, and I started listening to Bright Eyes.
Okay.
That was my first.
And that came out around that time.
It came out in 2005 when I was I was 12. And I'm Wide Awake This Morning, that record, which is like their like classic folk record. And for me, it was like the simplicity of it was so new to me. Like everything that I had, like we both, we loved music always, and we're singing, but it was always kind of more pop oriented. And so finding something that was just like, oh, this is just a guy like singing and playing guitar, and it's so moving. How is this? How does this work? Like, could I get a guitar and just try to do this myself? So that was, what kind of started it. And then it became almost like a project for us to start to like dig into
all
like
this other
country and
music.
folk music. So it was like, okay, well.
So it was through Bright Eyes that was the gateway.
But there's so much good music at that time, like in that genre, like freak, like Devander Banhart and Feist and Coco Rossi, and then
Joanna
Fleet Foxes
Newsom
came and Bon Iver, and
all
I mean,
that
there's
stuff.
so much. So,
But I remember like, okay, so like Bright Eyes, they like Bob Dylan. Okay, who did Bob Dylan listen to when he started out? And like, the
follow the
Carter
trail.
family, and like that was really cool.
Yeah.
And that's how we like. Yeah, we came upon like Graham Parsons and Townes Van Sant and all those people that just, I mean, for me, that music will always be like super special. And maybe that is because of that golden age spot. 12 to 14.
Nostalgia. Yeah. Early adolescence.
Yeah.
And now you've collaborated with Connor Oberst?
Yes. Yeah.
Dreams.
Yeah.
Dreams coming
Crazy.
true.
And made 2 records with Mike Mogis, who was like our dream producer when we started out. We were like, oh my God, if we could work with anyone, it'd be Mike Mogis. And now he's a good friend of ours. So crazy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, ladies.
thanks for having us.
And good luck. Keep the stamina up. And
New record is Ruins. It is gorgeous.
Thank you.
so good. Cool. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks.